Good morning, church. I wanted to say that for a long time. I consider myself to be a work in progress as far as Christianity is concerned. I've travelled part of the journey and I've got a long way to go. I go back to when I was 4. My first association with religion was at Sunday school. I lived in a small country town in Surrey, and my elder sister, who was 7 years older than me then, in fact still is, used to have the joy of taking me to Sunday school, and we had to cross the main road, and for some reason I used to sit down in the middle of the main road and refuse to move, and she wasn't strong enough to pull me out. So we'd sit there till the car came along, and as soon as the car came along and stopped, I'd hop up and go to Sunday school quite happily. And apparently I quite enjoyed it, although I have no memory of it, except that I do recall being given fairly lurid coloured stamps of either biblical figures or biblical events, which is stuck in a book. The amount of time it took you to fill your book indicated how regularly you'd attended. We moved house and I moved churches, but I stayed with the church and I joined the choir because I used to love to sing, and I stayed with the choir until I was about 15. And in those days, Anglican vicars in the country were usually about 85 not out, and they picked randomly, it seemed to me, subjects to preach about, and there was very little structure to this preaching, and it went on for about 10 or 12 minutes, or until the last member of the congregation had fallen asleep, and I learnt nothing from that, and it didn't help me to understand the Bible at all. Anyway, at the age of about 15, I had a typical teenage rebellion, and I gave up the church completely, and had nothing to do really with the church for about the next 50 years, except that I knew that there was something in the Bible, a message, an important story, a way of life perhaps, and so I made occasional forays into the Bible, but I couldn't understand it, and I didn't have any theology. In fact, what I knew about theology, you could chisel an aspirin. In fact, I go as far as to say the Wiggles probably had more theology than I did, and so it didn't get me very far. But jumping forward, in 2011 we moved to Tasmania, and we started to come to the church here for the Christmas service every year. And we came for probably 5 years, and we loved it. But we didn't attend between carol services. Anyway, my wife was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and we came to see Andrew. I asked him if he would conduct her funeral when the time came, and Andrew said, "Are you regulars here?" And we said, "Oh yes, we come every year, once a year, carol service." Now to his credit, Andrew didn't smile, but he did have a bout of coughing. But he agreed to conduct the funeral and suggested that we might like to come along and see what happened on the Sunday morning. So we found very quickly that the church here was a real family of good, caring people. And I also found that Andrew could unpack the Bible for me. He had a theme which went from week to week, and he would introduce the characters and talk about the characters that he was going to preach about, and he had maps, and he put the whole thing into context so that when he actually preached, you'd understand what was going on. You felt to it, you were part of it, and that helped me unpack the Bible. And so I've been attending the church very regularly, and I love it, and I derive great satisfaction and peace from being here as part of this team. And although I've begun my journey, I've still got a long way to go. Thank you.